Peace and love, fam. Welcome to the channel. It's your boy Monte. You know what it is. You know what I do. You know how I get down. It's the beginning of the week, so your boy's refreshed. He's rejuvenated. He's ready to get his grind on. That's right. He is ready to get his grind on. He, me, yeah. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Let's get into what it is that we want to talk about, guys. We're talking about abdominal fat loss. But this is going to be a two-part video, a little different from how I've been doing it. We'll do the informational session, and then we'll talk about intellectual immaturity, as well as willful ignorance that I say is profound and prevalent in the African American community. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why I say that, all right? So this is going to be a two-part series. First, we're going to tackle that abdominal fat, that which most of us are dealing with, that we're trying to get rid of. I'm going to show you the efficient way to go about doing that, all right, guys? As I attempt to get my body back in shape, I'm going through these same things that I'm teaching you, all right? So we in this together. Let's get it in. Abdominal fat loss, guys. Muscle and fat have an inverse relationship, meaning the more muscle you have, the less fat you will have. The more fat you have, the less muscle you're going to have. So the higher the muscle content, the less of the fat. The higher the fat content, the less of the muscle. You want more muscle, guys. Women particularly, I know some of you are resistant to trying to build muscle. You better build that muscle, because that's going to be the key to the efficiency of your metabolism, and it's going to be a tool to help you burn fat from the abdominal region. Doing sit-ups, doing cardio, that is not efficient for fat loss at the abdominal region. Building muscle throughout the body is going to be what is efficient for fat loss in the abdominal region. So more muscle, less fat is what we want. The way to achieve this is resistance training in a fasted state. So what happens when you resistance train in a fasted state is you will have high cortisol. Cortisol is naturally released anytime the body is under any type of stress. High cortisol is not good in and of itself, but when it is released during resistance training, what else is released is human growth hormone. Because of the fasted state that you're in, you're going to have higher levels of human growth hormone, and you're going to have lower levels of insulin. So anytime human growth hormone and insulin are present, they have the same inverse relationship as muscle and fat. The higher the content of human growth hormone in the system, the lower the content of insulin in the system, meaning that the body is going to build more muscle. It's going to restore and rejuvenate more cells. Insulin is a fat storing hormone when it's high in the system. Therefore, you want higher HGH, and the reason and how you get that is through fasting and resistance training. So the combination of the high HGH, also with the noradrenaline and adrenaline that is released while you're doing resistance training, will create a situation where the body becomes more efficient at burning fat, even though it has high cortisol levels. All right. Now, fat storing mode is this. You train in the aerobic training state, and you have eaten before you go and do your aerobic training. This produces high cortisol. It produces insulin that is high, and your human growth hormone will be low. Now, this is a fat storing formula, although you're exercising, and most of that fat will be stored in the abdominal region. All right. So again, guys, you don't want to engage in aerobic training when you have just eaten or taken a pre-workout drink if your goal is to lose fat in the abdominal region. I explained to you why. This formula is what is happening when you train in a fed state and you do aerobic training. High cortisol, high insulin, low HGH. That means fat storage is optimized, and we don't want to optimize fat storage. All right. So that's a little quick tip for you guys. Remember, storage of fat is stored in the liver and the muscle. And the spillover of that goes into the abdominal region, guys. So you want to eliminate the fat that is in the muscle and the liver in order to utilize that fat for the energy that you need to work out. And the way you go about doing that is training in the resistance training in the fasted state. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next. We're going to move on to the second part of this video. We're going to talk deep about the intellectual immaturity of the African American and the willful ignorance that I have observed. And you can leave your comments in the bottom, guys. You can always disagree. Just don't be disagreeable. Peace. All right, guys, let's move on into this intellectual immaturity and this willful ignorance that I spoke about earlier in the beginning of this video when I was explaining in detail how to lose fat from the abdominal region. Many of you guys and many of us are engaged in what I call intellectual immaturity and willful ignorance because of what it is and how we've been conditioned to believe certain things without ever examining anything and not ever taking the time to look at nature and understand how nature functions. That is the essence of God. It's wrapped up in nature and the functioning of the beings that the great Creator has brought forth. For us to only take the word of men that are written in books and not examine nature, because outside of what has been written, guys, those are not the written words of the Creator. They are the written words of men who say they were inspired by the Creator. So God, the Creator, wrote nothing in any book on this earth. Now, this is not to say that those books are not accurate and can't be a guide, but they are the expression of the individuals who wrote the book and said they were inspired by God. So we have to understand those are not the words of God written by God. They are the words of men who say they are inspired or were inspired by God. So let's make sure that we deal with mature dialogue. And also, guys, anytime someone disagrees with the African American, which I've come across, and this other Americans as well, but I'm focusing in on us. Anytime somebody disagrees or have a difference of perspective when it comes to a religious point of view, the African American, most of whom are Christian, go on the attack and attack the character of that individual instead of listening to what it is that that individual is actually saying. You don't determine if I am a child of God. God has already determined that and predetermined that by creating me. Everything that is created is from God, and it's inside of the individual. The essence of the individual is God. It's wrapped up in the sperm, it's wrapped up in the egg, and when those two things combine, it is put together and masterfully shaped and created into the human being inside the womb of the woman. That intelligence, that God is in there doing his or her work. So let's understand that. Let's get away from this immature intellectual immaturity and let's deal with things on a factual basis. Your belief is a belief. It could be accurate or it could be inaccurate. We delve into bigotry. We delve into all those other things that we say that we hate, particularly when you're looking at the president. Many of you hate the president because you believe that he is evil, he is a bigot, he is a racist. We engage in that same type of foolishness with bigotry when you automatically attack an individual as being atheist because they don't believe the way that you believe. It has nothing to do with the belief of an individual that makes him or her godlike. It has everything to do with the actions of that individual that makes him or her godlike and a believer in God, absent the religion or within the religion. Many of those who have professed themselves as to be Christians have went about doing some of the most damaging things on earth, just as many other religions who people have embraced. They use that religion as a tool of destruction, discrimination, bigotry, and racism. And you, the African American, was a prime product of that same exact thing. That was the essence of your being enslaved. It was justified by those who said they were Christians, but they were not acting Christ-like. So let's get away from this foolishness, thinking that just because someone doesn't believe the same as you, and if that individual can go and into a natural state and tell you this is what they see because of how nature is designed and nature dictates certain activities, if it can be proven as a fact, then it's no longer a belief. A belief is just that. It can be a fact or it can be fiction. But it can be confirmed by nature, and then it becomes a fact, not just a belief. So let's get deeper. Again, I have no issue with your religion. I have an issue with you pushing any type of belief on me without having the knowledge, without having the understanding, just putting forth a belief, not backed by any facts and without any really full examination of what it is that you say that you believe. Again, I have nothing but love for those of you who truly believe what you believe and you live the life that you live based off the religion that you follow. But you are not the only person on this earth. It's 7 billion or better, and many people have many different beliefs, and many people go about living their lives as spiritual beings, as beings are elevated in their behavior and their actions, and they go about life in a peaceful way, never demeaning or trying to force an idea or concept that is only a belief onto an individual. They allow those individuals to find their path. You understand me? So please, if you come at me about a religious belief, please come at me in respect, and you can disagree with what it is that I say as it pertains to monogamy or any other thing, and that's all right. But when you start to attack my character, I'm going to come back at you. I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to break whatever it is that you bring to me down in its simplest form and spit it right back at you, and you're going to have some issues with that unless you bring me some facts. Don't just bring me belief, bring me facts. And if what it is that you're telling me comes off and moves me in the direction that it needs to move me because I see the facts of it, I drop what it is that I believe and I move on. I don't hold on to things to hold on to them. But you have to choose, you have to prove to me. Don't give me beliefs, give me facts when you bring me something. I'm sending you peace and love. Peace and love.